or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of this.
All right, we're live. No potty talk.
It's time to get on the right path with Right Path Real Estate Radio with Jason Bible. Get the answer to your question that's keeping you from taking action
here we
and
go.
succeeding today.
I didn't ask you. How's your whole family going? Doing good? Okay. How's the commute from the new place?
Not bad at all.
Not bad?
Get ready. The guy that will
You probably don't
put
get
your
much
fears
traffic,
behind
so you
is
just
on the air now.
zip in.
Taking calls at 713-785-1817. Toll free 877-881-0271. Now here's your host, Jason Bible.
All right, fellas, hot mics.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Jason Bible here. It's Build Your Team Thursday, where we talk to all the guys and gals that are they're really almost partners of ours in building our wealth and income with real estate. And I've got Elijah Randall here with Fast Track. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks.
So before the break, we were talking about a couple of different, or before we got started here this morning, we were talking about a couple of different things. And y'all work with a ton of investors around town. I can't even imagine how many projects do you guys have going at any one time?
I think we've got between 20 and 25 on the board typically. That's just active type jobs, and then we have upcoming ones. It's a really amazing thing to be able to help people, so many, with the fluidity of this industry because of how the timing is such a big deal, and getting things coordinated is such a big deal. So we're happy to be a part of that. But yeah, it's about 20, 25 typically active.
And some of those are probably $20,000, $30,000 rehabs, maybe $10, $15 a foot, all the way up to some really, like you guys are doing some really big stuff for us in some really big houses.
Yeah.
Which are the $40, $50, $60. I mean, some of those are pretty big rehabs. So y'all it's kind of fun to see a remodeling company where you get to do kind of some smaller projects and then all the way up to some really big stuff. So where do you guys typically, y'all do a lot of rental properties, but where do you guys cap out? I mean, you're not doing $5 million homes, right?
Correct.
So where do you guys kind of cap out on the high end?
So we do. We do a kind of a testing of relationship too in the industry a little bit. Our standard is about 400,000 to 450 ARV for our first time clients especially. We like to set a good kind of precedent for our standard and the fluid way that, like I mentioned before, that we do business. At some point, there's a price point where some people determine in their head that there may be more customization needed and so on. And since we standardize all of what we do, we have to make sure that everybody's on board with those standards, which they've been proven and they've been quality and they're available and we know the pricing on them and we know the way they work, and it's been really, really good. And you guys have actually availed yourself of that. And so, but then on the low side, we have, sometimes people come in with an ARV of 80,000, and that's a struggle too. That's almost like an apartment grade kind of remodel, and that's not what we do either. Yeah. Right. So even though we have a standard on the high end, we also have a standard probably more on the low end as well. And people don't want to over rehab those, and they don't want to pay as quality of labor necessarily to get the job done. So that may not be a fit either. More recently, just real quick to say, I'd say that the people are honing in a little bit on us with our territory. We don't go east of Channelview or north of the Woodlands typically, or west of Katy, south of Rosenberg or Friendswood. And so if people find deals out there, which there are deals beyond that.
Oh, absolutely.
It's hard for us to get around with all the stuff that is happening in that other circle I just mentioned. And then kind of in the older home category.
Yes.
If it gets older than 1960, sometimes there's just hidden things that pop up, and the management of those jobs kind of goes through the roof sometimes. And with us doing as many as we are, it is hard sometimes to manage the older homes. So those are case by case basis, really. And if when we develop relationship with our investors that we've done multiple houses for, we're more inclined to consider some of those projects just to look at and see, though our standard stays very true on our what products we use and the way we do it.
That's a really good point. One of the things I tell folks is that real estate, like any business, is very relationship based. And if you build a long-term, and let me explain what relationship means. A lot of people think relationship like it's high fives and hugs and we're friends and we text message and all that. And that's not what relationship means in business. Relationship means in business, it means business, money, it changing hands, right? Doing projects together. So as you work with Fast Track more often, right, then you become to say, okay, well, let's look at a house that's maybe a $600,000 rehab. And they've already done 5 or 6 or 8 rehabs with you guys, and let's talk about what that process looks like, right? So like you'd said, a lot of people think that relationship means some kind of casual, hey, we know each other's name. And it's like, in a business sense, a lot of you guys aren't the only one. A lot of our vendors, like especially our lending vendors, the same way. If you've worked with someone over, let's say, a year and done half a dozen or dozen deals, there are special things that are for certain clients, right? Because you're accustomed to working with them. So, but yeah, I do agree with you. When you get too much into the low end stuff, it's just not how can I say this? Y'all can't lower the quality down
Right.
low enough to where it makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
some people have said, "Hey, can you just not do these 4 or 5 things in this one room and just leave it as it is?" And I said, "Look, my guys, it's not just work; it's their pride of their
Yeah.
job when they're done, and they look at that job and it's not done,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh yeah, you want to give them a bunch of those and from job
Yeah.
to job? No, we don't want to do that, right?
Mhm.
So we think in terms too of paying them the same amount to do a lesser job is not what we want to
Right.
be accomplishing.
Well,
Yeah.
and the hard thing for you guys too is when y'all build an entire process out, and when you get your guys in there and to say we're painting, they're painting everything, right? It's not like, oh, we're not doing this one wall, and
Right.
we're not doing that. It just makes.
But that's
it so
what
much
I'm talking
harder.
about when people
Yeah.
are saying that. Yeah, maybe don't paint that wall. This wall only needs painted, touch up here, and that's not a bad plan for a make ready. But we don't do a lot of make readies
Yeah.
because it doesn't hit our minimum.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say our minimum is around $8,000, not including the bigger item like a roof or HVAC. And it's a commitment we have to our crews, which is why they've stayed around with us probably so long. Not just the consistency of work, but that they're not bouncing around from job to job
Yeah.
every other day. Yeah, so it's a good fit. We're talking about relationships. I mean, everybody who uses Fast Track gets the value of relationship we've built with these crews that have been trained really, really well, that have clicked in super well with our process. You know, and I'll tell you, not every crew has made it over the years.
Yeah.
But the ones that we have now, most of them have been with us over 3 years, and that's astounding in this industry with the attrition rate that's typical.
Well, not only the attrition rate, but we also had Harvey, right? And so I
Right.
imagine there was some friction there where it's like, yeah, I could go make a little bit more money short term, but when all that work dries up, where do I
Right.
end up, right?
Right.
But I one of the things that we teach is the low end houses are almost as bad as the high end houses, right?
Yeah.
You start to get into $1 million plus house. I don't care where you're at in Texas. That's a really nice house, and like you said, it's custom this, custom that, and where does it end? And you end up throwing all this money down the drain when there's, it's the old bell-shaped curve, right? There's just as many $1 million buyers as there are houses below, let's say, $75,000.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah, and so you start to get on these extremes, and I'm like, I hate the extremes.
Yeah.
Let's get right in the middle, median home
How do you
prices.
standardize that?
You can't.
No.
Exactly. That's a good point. You can't standardize something on the edge, something on the fringe. And one of the things that we strive to teach, and it works so well, like with you guys, is we've got a standard process, and we know what's repeatable. We can do this. So you bring me, just like I bring you guys, the 322 in Katy, Texas. Jeff probably walks in there and looks around and says, yeah, we've done 200 of this floor plan,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
right.
it's not, there's not going to be surprises here, guys.
That's a good point.
And you probably see it because you do a lot of the estimating, right? So you walk in this house and you go, have I been here before?
Yep.
We did 6 like this in Sugar Land.
more
You look-
round.
Yeah, one more
One more
round.
round.
Yeah, exactly. We're just going to do it again. So, but how can you build a business without that standardization? You really can't.
Right, agreed. Yeah.
So you work with a lot of investors. We were chatting before the show. If you were to read the tea leaves here, if you will, on what's going on in the investor community and with the investors that you work with. And by the way, you guys are only investor remodeling,
That's right. Yeah. Roofs and HVAC, we will do standalone.
Okay.
Even on occupied homes.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's an investment only, speculative, a sale or for rent.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I think we're having the roof discussion at my house right now, so I might give you guys a call. But
Okay.
So you guys only work with investors. You do, like you said, you're in the middle of 25, 30 projects at any one time. Reading the tea leaves, what do you see going on out there with the investors that y'all are working with?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned a little bit about some of the attitude. Some investors have been a little disheartened because they're not seeing necessarily how to get the deals, or they're not choosing to be as aggressive on analyzing or putting in offers on deals because of maybe being realizing that some of the deals they were going after didn't turn out to be as good as they'd hoped. But I can say too, though, that those that have stayed in it, in the not just the thick of it, but also have stayed consistent with it, I think that they've been very encouraged in this market, and we're seeing a lot more houses from some of them come up on us to do estimates on. So it's a very encouraging place, I think, in the industry right now for those homes, especially those within the standard we're talking about.
I have this feeling, and I look at all the data, so a lot of this is data-based as well. When I look at the last bull market, and we shared this with you guys, the market update I did a month or so ago, the last bull market was 182 months, and all of the experts out there are saying that this bull market is going to continue, and we're only about 72 months in, so we've got another 10 years of this, maybe 7 years. So when you and I were chatting earlier about some investors that are frustrated and maybe quitting, if you will, and waiting for, quote, the next downturn, I look at it and say the next downturn might not be for another decade.
Yeah.
Especially here in Texas. You guys doing a lot of flood houses?
We are, yeah. Actually, the little bit of an uptick again with flood houses recently. I think it's interesting because those of you that have done flood analyzation, and when you go out to the house, sometimes you find that the neighbor's house still hasn't been done, and then you start talking to them, and that's a great way to get a direct deal.
Yep.
And that's been happening actually. People have been finding that some of those have been reopened. Some of those neighborhoods have started to be reopened a little bit. People that have gotten disheartened with contractors. I'm seeing a lot that have maybe had sheetrock up, but nothing else really done to them.
I think we're about to see two things: the foreclosures and the people who did get checks. Their contractors are starting to disappear, and that may be another 4 or 5 months before we start to see those people start selling. But it's going to be interesting to say the least. How do they get in contact with you,
Yeah,
Elijah?
so fasttrackremodeling.com, or you can call us 832-742-9992. You can go get an estimate, fill out a form, real quick form to get an estimate online at that fasttrackremodeling.com. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you bet. We use these guys. Y'all should too. It's Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate with Fast Track Remodeling. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Mic's off, guys.
Are you looking for an investor-friendly general contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized process.
Over the last 6 years, Fast Track has completed over 700 projects, which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success. Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done, train and maintain quality crews so it gets done right, and complete the work in a proper order so it gets done fast.
No more managing it yourself, no more doing the work yourself. Fast Track Remodeling really does manage it all.
So give us a call today at 832-742-9992. Again, that's 832-742-9992, or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Hello, real estate investors. Do you need a lender that moves fast at the speed of a jet to fund your investment properties? Jet Lending will help you purchase properties quickly with as little cash out of pocket as possible. Jet Lending also sets up a repair escrow fund to help you with repair costs. Jet Lending has originated over 2,000 loans in Texas, valued at over $250 million. Jet Lending will help you evaluate your deals for free and give you feedback on value, cost of repairs, and potential loan amount. Jet Lending is your fast and friendly hard money source for first-time investors and seasoned professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at info@jetlending.com. Oh, and don't forget about our famous Third Wednesday
All right, Nikki.
Investor Networking Meeting. Lots
All right,
of
so
fun,
we have,
lots
let me
of
count,
great
hold on
real
one second.
estate talk. We'll see you there.
Next one's Michelle, right?
Yeah, Michelle's recorded though.
Okay, that's fine. So what time do I need to be back here by?
Hold on, let me count, hold on.
Your home purchase, you've come to the right place. I'm Jennifer Hernandez, Senior Loan Officer with Legacy
Just come back in
Mutual
like
Mortgage.
come back in like 16 minutes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You'll be in the middle of the commercial break after her segment.
Okay.
My team believes in
right,
putting
cool.
people and culture before results. Our company concentrates on building those teams who operate with structure, process, and recognition for going the extra mile for you. This way, we have the energy to make this your best home purchase ever. Give us a call today to find out the simple steps to get started. I'm Jennifer Hernandez, the Hernandez team at Legacy Mutual Mortgage. Jennifer.legacymutual.com or call 713-579-3611. Again, Jennifer.legacymutual.com. We can't wait to consult with you soon. NMLS 514497.
Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. NMLS 514497.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders? The agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. We're here for you. Are you a rehabber, wholesaler, buy and hold, or flipper? Bundling your properties on a single policy will help save time and money. Benchmark has been in business for over 10 years, and we insure over 30,000 properties. Contact Benchmark about our exclusive investor package. Call us and let us show you what we can do for you at 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com. That's benchmarkbroker.com. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
This is Business 1110.
Hey, welcome back. We did a quick change during the break. For those of y'all that join us on the Book of Faces, y'all get a chance to be a part of this. And so Michelle Emler, Michelle
Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah.
We gotta tell ourselves that.
Yeah, so she's got a baby that just graduated kindergarten.
I know. I can't handle it.
Gonna start first grade in August. That's what comes next, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
That's the way it was when I was
Here we
back in
go.
school. I didn't know if they'd changed anything. Goes
Yeah,
kindergarten,
probably.
first grade still.
Yeah. No, he's gonna jump to third grade and then he's gonna come back to first grade.
Yeah.
And we're gonna figure it out.
You know,
after that.
they do things kooky now. I tell you, my daughter, they when I went to school, it was 1st through 5th was elementary, and then 6th through 8th was junior high, right? And then 9th through 12th. So my daughter, when she went to 6th grade, that was its own standalone school. So it was like 1st through 5th kindergarten, and then was elementary school, and then 6th grade was by itself.
Yeah.
And then 7th and 8th was middle school, I guess they called, and then now it's high school.
Yeah, my school when I left, I'm sure y'all tuned in to hear all about my high school years, but they changed it after I left 9th grade. 9th grade became its own campus, and then 10, 11, 12 was high school.
Oh, okay. So the
yeah.
other end of the spectrum. So this is Michelle Rodriguez, formerly Emler.
Correct,
But,
Michelle
okay.
Emler.
So nextgenappraisals.com for all your appraisal needs, nextgenappraisals.com, 713-346-9911, 713-346-9911. All right, I'll correct myself. Not all your appraisal needs. Appraisal needs in Houston that are not commercial, right?
Correct.
All right, cool. So
very specific.
For all your residential appraisal
we can
needs.
appraise up to 4-unit properties, and then that's a cap.
So quadplex.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
I've never heard it called that before. Usually say fourplex.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Duplex, quads.
We did make our own rules.
Triplex. Yeah.
Make our own rules at Right Path.
That's right. Okay.
So yeah.
All
yeah.
right. So desktops are taking you how long now?
Still 2 business days, and then we're at 5 full business days for full appraisals. We're doing a lot of desktops right now.
Yeah.
More so than usual.
Right.
And so that's kind of interesting.
So my guess is this: when a new investor is getting started, and they're trying to run their comps and all that, they try and do that, and then they get you involved, right?
Yeah.
My guess is that you're rarely ever higher as a number than their number, right? It's normally they're higher.
Oh, no. I'll tell you an interesting story. So one of the first appraisals I did for Red Door was this historical home down in Texas City.
Okay.
Built 1920s, I want to say.
Sure, right.
beautiful home, like original stained glass windows, all the woodworking and everything they did is just really beautiful home. But when I went out there, I measured it and measured 400 square feet smaller.
Oh, okay.
So I gave them a heads up. I said, hey, this home is actually a lot smaller than what's in tax rolls. Be prepared. The value may not be what you're hoping for.
Sure.
Well, when I actually ran the numbers, the historical value that property added actually ended, even though it was smaller, exceeded
what
their original ARV was.
Yeah.
So you never really know. We're not usually lower.
Right.
We just have a different perspective.
Got it.
Just like anybody else that's analyzing a market.
So when a new person's analyzing a market, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see that they make?
Well, the biggest one I see is everybody has this shortcut method of, well, this is the price per square foot, so I'll just take that, multiply it by my square foot, and then bam, I have a value. And people rarely understand the square footage or gross living area roughly accounts for about 30 to 50% of the value of a home, right? People usually aren't buying a home because of its size. They're buying it because of its location, or we need so many bedrooms, or this one has a pool, that one doesn't, blah, blah, blah. So when you're using that methodology or that shortcut, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Well, what I see with that is the problem with it is that there's oftentimes a cap in the marketplace. Like I know a particular neighborhood that I've owned a house, and no house is really sold above like 260 in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a house right now that just went on the market, and it went pending after only 4 days at like 258. But it's one of the smaller houses in the neighborhood. Most of the houses are selling in the 120s per square foot, maybe 130s per square foot, something like that.
Right.
And they're about 2,000 square feet. This house is like 1,600 and some change. It's going for like $158 a foot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know I've got a house in there just under 2,300 square feet. So if I say, okay, 2,300 times 158, I get a big number way over,
What's that phrase, diminishing returns? That's true in real estate square footage as well. The other thing is every neighborhood has a floor, right?
Right.
So there's always that.
If the foundation's done right.
But there's always a buy-in, right, to a particular neighborhood. That's why you can't use comps that are, say, in the Woodlands versus comps that are in maybe Pasadena or something like that. That location value is completely different.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing I see is kind of this manipulation of, well, if I pull this comp and I use this one, and even though that one sold kind of old or a long time ago, like this is the value and that'll make our numbers work. And that's not how market value works,
David asked a question on the Book of Faces. Can you explain the difference between a desktop and a regular appraiser?
So a desktop is kind of like it sounds. We appraise it completely from our desk. We don't actually go out and do a site evaluation. So we're pulling the square footage from anything on MLS or tax records. Really, all the data we use for a desktop is from online resources that are available.
From online databases, from HAR,
correct,
from Google Maps, from RealList, that kind of stuff.
And to be fair, our experience and our geographic knowledge of that area, that's not available online. But so that's a desktop, and that's like we have no idea what the value is. We just want a really good idea of what ballpark we're in.
How close do you feel like you get in that? Is it within 10%? Is it within, what's your margin of error?
I feel 15% is a safe number. My goal every time I do a desktop is 5%.
Okay.
That's the goal. But almost inevitably, you're going to go out and the property measures differently, or I didn't realize there was some kind of structure next to the property or something. I mean, I do the best I can with like Google Maps and whatever's available. But
so that brings up a good point. What percentage of the time is the square footage off?
You're early?
I want to say 100, but that's
you're not till the next segment.
And by off, I would say it exceeds 10% of what's in tax rolls.
Yeah. So tax roll says it's 2,280 square feet.
And say I go out there and it's 2,600. I would say that's probably 1 out of 10, so 10%.
And it's normally bigger than what the tax rolls say?
Most often it's going to be smaller.
So whenever I have you on, I like to talk about tenant
So what if that 50% of the time, there's like 90% of the time.
Tenant horror stories.
of the ones that come back wrong. I would
Yeah.
say 90%
Well,
of
maybe
the
you do,
ones
'cause you
that
got
come
so
back
many
are
properties,
smaller.
right?
Yeah.
Very few actually end up being bigger.
Right.
Which
It never
everybody's
seems like
like,
it works in
hey,
your favor.
bonus
Yeah.
money.
Right.
But very rarely happens that way.
Right. So, but you measure it every single time when you're going out doing an actual
Do a
appraisal.
site evaluation. Well, there's something called a drive-by appraisal or a 2055, which again,
How are you going to expect to get anything back, right?
That just like blows my mind.
that's the name of the form
Oh,
that
okay.
that appraisal goes on.
Is that for like a BPO or something like that for short
No,
sales?
no. BPOs are done by realtors, and BPOs can be done both ways. They can be done with a site inspection or without. It's up to the realtor and what's being asked of them. But no, a drive-by appraisal is everything, but we go inside the property and measure it.
Got
So
it.
we're driving the comps, we're driving the neighborhood, doing all of our market
Or you
research
moved
and
it from
things
somewhere
like
else, right? I mean,
Okay.
we're going to throw it all
So I'm joined live in the studio with Michelle Rodriguez. It's nextgenappraisals.com,
There is a
nextgenappraisals.com, 713-346-9911,
inverse relationship
713-346-9911. So
junk
Brian's
you
saying, yes,
own
I've learned
in
it the
your
hard
wealth.
way. Every house I do, the measurements
like, you
now
ever look in
to ensure
someone
something
who's
isn't
broke, you ever look
significantly
in
off
their
on the square
car,
footage
it's all
before I
full
make
of
an
junk.
offer.
Yeah, especially
Driving
older
me
homes,
nuts.
right? That's
House
the
is
ones I
full of
find more
junkyard.
often measure wrong.
We
And
just
if you're
drove
an
to
investor,
Florida. We
that's
did our
usually
family
where your
vacation.
value add
It
is.
always
These
amazed
older
me when
homes
you go
that
to
haven't
some
been
of the
rehabbed
worst places
since they
in
were
the
purchased.
South.
So,
and it's a
yeah, I would
trailer
say
that's all
almost,
jacked up, and there's no
again,
reason
trying to
for it.
think off the top
And
of my
then
head,
the
maybe
yard's just full
80%
of crap.
of the stuff we look
Old
at is older
cars,
homes for
furniture, and all
investors.
that.
Because that's where they're
How
going
do
in
you
and adding
over-
value to the market.
overaccumulate junk if
And
you're
that's
broke?
more often where you're going to see the
So when you're measuring, if you were going to teach a new investor how to measure a house quickly, you're not going room by room measuring each and every individual room. Are you doing it that way, or are you taking a wheel going around the outside of the house, or
a wheel? No, I use a laser tape measure. I measure the exterior
Still
of
no-
the property. If there's
Yeah,
a
we're
detached
still in the
garage,
middle
we
of that
deduct that out.
did I say that wrong? Wheel?
How long were you in
No, there's a
Florida?
wheel. It's just kind of an old method of
It's like an
using
annual
it. Some
pilgrimage.
appraisers
It's
still
all
do, which
Sarah's
is great.
family,
But I
and so
just
we
like
rent a house.
Yeah, I
button
carry-
it,
I carry-
tells
I
them.
carry a
Right
wheel
there
in my
on the
trunk.
beaches, so there's-
Really?
Yeah.
I
This
like
year,
the
we're only
laser
15,
measure.
but
So
it's-
just like
What I don't like about the laser on the outside is there's not always something to, bounce it off of, right?
Oh, but they have.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Pythagoras?
And after about 2 or 3
See,
days,
then
I'm like,
hit
okay,
it,
can
and
we
then it'll tell
we
you.
go do something else here? Because I'm getting bored.
No, that's what's called
Were you in Destin
Pythagorean.
or
Oh
Pensacola?
man, it's been a while.
We went to Destin to
Theorem.
do
Yeah, the Pythagorean theorem, right?
So we'll go to
A squared
Destin
plus
You didn't
B
know we were
squared.
teaching
We'll
tongue
rent a boat.
twisters
Yeah,
today.
right. Okay,
it's a
so
double-decker, it's
yeah,
got
but
the
you're not.
slide
You're actually
stuff on it.
calculating using
And then
that
we'll
a squared
float,
plus
we'll,
B squared
we'll
equals
float
C
the little
squared.
boat over
If you
to
can't hit it with
Crab
something
Island,
with
which
your
is
laser
in
tape
some
measure,
sections
then
of
yeah,
Crab
you
Island,
can.
it's
You're
over
triangulating off of something else.
Thank you, triangulating. Yes, that sounds
and then it
better
does
than
get a
what I
little
was
bit
saying.
deeper.
Okay,
but it's
so
a
you're
whole,
triangulating off a
they have
tree
a
or
whole
something else?
section kind of
No,
roped
off the
it's
house. So you're
huge. And
standing
there's
right angle to the
restaurants
front
out
of the house,
there,
right? You
floating
get that
restaurants
measurement,
and
and then you
bars
get
and
your
all that. It's pretty
C,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
And it gives you B.
Yeah, I get that. Okay.
You didn't see
So-
Crab Island?
That's how
It's
you're
right
doing
there.
it.
As you-
I'd
as you
rather
go over
I'd
the
rather
Fort
use a
Walton
wheel,
Bridge, it's
honestly.
right there on your left.
Maybe, but it's I've done
Crab
it. It's
Island.
still pretty accurate.
I carry a laser
It's
tape
spot.
measure
Y'all
also,
stay at
but
a
for
resort, you
all
rent
inside
house.
measurements.
We stayed at a resort.
I mean,
We stayed at the
no lie, I'm
Hilton
gonna
in
hook a
Destin.
tape. It's
Okay.
easier to
Yeah,
do that.
okay.
But if you're doing the second floor
Yeah,
from
okay.
the outside,
I didn't
that's
realize,
a lot
there's that
easier.
really famous one over
That's
there.
why. Okay, got it. Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
I-
Okay, now
they
see,
actually
now
have
we
a-
got to the
a
rest of
new
the
one
story,
for
right?
The whole truth.
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay,
know
so
about
because
that.
what you're really worried about at that point is that you're
So
measuring the
that's,
foundation of the
yeah,
first
if y'all
floor, but
go,
you could have like a
just rent a
70-30
boat. I
or
don't know how much
60-40
it's
or
$200
65-35 or
for a
something like
half
that on the
day.
second floor versus
And,
the first floor, right?
Yeah,
But it's
absolutely.
not always a
Pontoon
true
boats just
two-story.
Put around to the
Well,
Like
sure,
story and a
that
half
too,
out
and you
right
have,
there, and
I don't know
it's a-
about other
it's a
markets, but
blast.
here in Houston especially, we have
You gotta
like
be careful.
two-story
If you're
entryways and
around
stuff
like
that.
So that's not a second
Memorial
floor.
Day,
You gotta
Labor Day,
back
4th
that
of
out.
July, any of that stuff.
Or two-story
Crab
living
Island
rooms,
can turn
things like
into
that.
Got it. All right, so David said, so what determines which type of appraisal you do?
They've got the World
you
Chicken
don't
Fighting
determine that. It's,
Championships. They
it's the
do them
client.
there.
Our scope of work
That's
is
pretty
determined
cool.
by the client,
hate
yes,
that
and what their
drive.
requirements
Oh,
are.
that one.
Yeah.
It's
So
like-
David, it's a matter of
it's such a short
the
distance, but
desktop appraisal
you're just
is
driving
faster
forever.
and less expensive.
Yes.
And then
Well, once you get through the
but
tunnel in
with,
Mobile.
there's a
it seems
relationship
like
between speed
you
and
get through
accuracy.
Alabama,
The faster
and
you
you're
want
like-
it, the less accurate it is.
you're
The more
less
accurate
than
you want it, the
100
slower
miles
it is,
away
and the more expensive
from
it
Destin
is. So if you
or
want if you want it
Pensacola,
accurate
and it's like
and spend a little
that
bit
turns
more money,
into
like
an
more
eternity.
accurate, but if
that lasts like
your
100
goal
to
you said is
60
5% on the
100 miles,
desktop appraisal.
turns into like a 3-hour journey
Everything
in
that was we
traffic.
found true
Yeah.
to in our
But like,
research on the
we've been
desktop ends up
going
being
out there
true for the
since
full, the one within 5%.
for the last 9 years.
That's
And
not
I
a
told
guarantee.
Sarah,
So I would
said,
say 15%.
every year the traffic gets worse, and I said that's
Um,
good because it means
the other thing
economy's
too, if any private money
just
lenders
better
are
and better and better and better.
listening, is that
We first started
most hard-
going out there
all
in
hard money
09.
lenders
It
do
was a
not
ghost
lend
town.
On a desktop, right? Sure.
So
They
if
just
you
don't consider it's accurate enough.
Correct. And they want to reduce their liability as much as possible.
we used to
so
go
if
out there
you
and
are
own
lending
mine. I
your
remember-
own money,
So
would
we would
highly
rent those
recommend
houses over
the
there,
full
but
appraisal.
I
It's
call
just
it New
worth that
Testament Road.
Yeah, of course.
Extra
Math,
money
all the
to insure
streets.
your
Figure if a
home.
hard money lender's not willing to risk it,
all that,
their
there's a
money
row of 'em right
on
there.
just a
Yeah.
desktop, maybe you shouldn't either. If you're
It's on
risking
the
a lot of your own
ocean
money in the
side.
deal, right?
Correct.
On the surf side.
And so what you may do is before you
buy
bring a
those
hard money
things.
lender in, might do a desktop,
some
and
of
then
those
knowing that when they
250K
do
up
it,
to
that they're going to bring
$400,000,
an
now those
actual
are all
full-blown
million
appraisal up.
plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, so you're
crazy.
listening to Right Path Real Estate Radio.
think this
I've been
is
joined
what
live in
in
the
the next
studio with
crash,
Michelle Rodriguez. She's with
I'm not gonna stop I'm not
nextgenappraisals.com.
stopping
That's
any investing I'm doing, but
nextgenappraisals.com.
in the next crash,
713-346-9911.
I'm gonna go and buy some vacation.
713-346-9911. Are we out of time, Nikki?
First one's to fall and the last one's to
Okay,
recover
all right,
because it's the
thank you.
second home, right? So, and they're so, and they're not even based in what's going on
You
in
found
the
or
real estate
inherited a
market.
great investment
Their values
property.
really derive
Problem
what's
is, you don't know
going
how much
on.
it's worth, or more
So,
importantly, what to
I'd
do
much
to
rather go over
maximize
there
your investment while
and pick
mitigating
something up
risk.
on the cheap,
This is exactly
regardless
why
of
we
the real
started
estate.
Next Gen Appraisals. Next Gen is a group of appraisers
feel like you get
specializing in
stuck.
investment real estate. We understand that
Oh, yeah,
investors
well,
aren't just
yeah,
looking
I
for a
agree with
number
that,
of
yeah.
what
And
their
I was
property
like,
is worth, but a comprehensive analysis of the market. Give Next Gen a call at 713-346-9911 or check us out online at nextgenappraisals.com.
Bahamas.
Are small returns getting in the way of your retirement plans? Why settle for mediocre results? There's a better place to invest. The experts agree. Single-family real estate is one of the best investments you can make. Find out how JV Fund Services
I drove
offers a
by it
9%
during a,
deferred return and
bachelor
up
party.
to 13%
I'm
waterfall.
like, hey, I think I own
Call
that.
us today at
Because there's a restaurant at the end of that street. I'm like, hey, I own that
281-915-0906 or
one.
visit our website,
I went by it right after we bought it, before we
jbfundservices.com.
even started
That's
the rehab. We've owned it for
281-915-0906.
year and a half
This
now.
investment is offered to accredited investors.
No idea. So.
Did you know that there are over $24
fellas.
trillion in retirement accounts in the U.S.? Imagine if you could use someone's IRA to fund all of your deals. Well, you can. Quest IRA is based locally here in Houston,
Oh, for the beach house? Yeah.
Quest IRA, we offer
VRBO
retirement
and
accounts
some of those
that
others.
can be used to invest in real estate, promissory notes, private entities,
We got
and
2.5
Oh,
minutes.
yeah,
Enable
yeah.
clients loan money
so
from
there-
their
there's also
IRAs
short-term rentals
to
that
fund
they-
real estate deals all over the
specialize
country.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
sell
'cause
any
it's really about the
investments or
turn,
give
right?
advice. However, we do hold free networking events, weekly
What was
educational
amazing to me
classes,
is,
and free
like, we're down in
consultations with
Destin,
an IRA
and
specialist.
even in
For more
Pensacola.
information,
It's literally like
visit
you're
our
checking out
website,
Saturday,
questira.com,
next family's checking
or
in,
call us at
and they've got a 5-hour
1-855
window to get the house
IRAs.
clean,
To tap
get any
into the
maintenance stuff taken
$24
care of,
trillion
and just get it
in
generally
retirement
turned
accounts
for
in
the
the
next
US.
family.
Call
And they're doing
Quest
that like
IRA at
island-wide.
1-855
It all happens on one day, right?
or go to our
It's kind of
website,
crazy. It's like the whole place is one big
questira.com.
hotel. But they have to get ready like all at once, right? And the problem is that you're renting like that. It's not like a hotel where like, oh, well, you know, your room's not ready, but 1-2 doors down is, right? They've got options there. These are unique assets. Like I rented this specific house. It's got to be ready just like the one next door and the one next door and one next door. So
Foundation Check has been in
kind of
business
crazy.
since 2009 and has
So,
completed over 1,400 evaluations.
do you guys, I got a question
We're
for you.
not
Do
in
you
the
guys
business
get into
of
any
repairing
Airbnb
foundations
stuff?
or
No?
selling you
Okay.
unnecessary peer work.
Had this kind of crazy idea. I thought about
Our product is
for an
designed
extra,
for house flippers,
and I was chatting with Elijah about this.
or
Extra, I don't know,
owner-occupied
somewhere between $5,000 and $15,000. You could build 100, 150, 200 square foot structure in the backyard of a house. So what if you were to rent that house above market and told the tenant, look, if you're particularly savvy, you could rent this out via this little bed here in the backyard out via Airbnb. Wouldn't work in most areas. I'm talking about like higher end houses where you've got somebody who'd have the wherewithal to do
All
that.
right, 1 minute.
And you could charge above market rent because they would recoup some of it from that Airbnb and they could pay more of their,
in addition to structuring your business for
that makes
optimum
sense.
protection, we provide guidance so you pay the least amount of taxes available under the law. We have 150 employees that range from lawyers to CPAs to estate planners and much more. Download our free ebook, The Invisible.
Have strangers coming in? Yes, ma'am.
Does Jerry have his headset on?
Oh no, he doesn't. He has it on now.
Checking 1 2 3. Checking 1 2 3.
Turn him up just a little bit.
Which one is? Let me see. What's on the other side of that? Let me see. Number 2. Okay.
Call us today
Number
at 800-706-4741.
All right. How's that? You want to give it a try?
Checking 1 2 3. Checking 1 2
Okay,
3.
perfect.
This is Business 1110.
All right, fellas, hot mics.
Thank you. It's Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. Let's build your team Thursday. Hey, Nikki, you still there? We lost all the...
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, good. Sorry, the music dropped like that, and I was like, oh!
There's no fade out.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, we lost.
That was my fault.
It's amazing to me when it rains in Houston. For some reason, we can't get all the radio stuff to work, but everything's working today, so cross your fingers. So I'm in studio with Jerry Taub, Property Care. If you guys are landlords, one of the things that we tell landlords is use a property management company. It just spend your time finding the next deal, making sure your house gets rehabbed, and then hand it over to Jerry over at Property Care. So, Jerry, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. So, we were chatting earlier about, and I love bringing you on the show just to talk about nightmare tenant issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you don't get a whole lot because you even though you got a pretty big portfolio and you manage a lot of people's properties, but you were talking about trash earlier, just people moving in and moving out and just leaving a massive amount of stuff. So what are you seeing out there as tenants move out and move on to other properties or move and that sort of thing?
Well, and I was just saying it blows my mind that you think the tenants that come in your office, here's my keys, here's my forwarding address for my security deposit, that you would go to the house and you get the property that you gave them.
Right, yeah, beautiful, broom swept, all that kind of stuff.
Maid serviced out,
yeah.
Carpet clean.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got one this past week, and it just blew my mind that, Junk King's out there right now cleaning up. I would imagine about $600 to $800 worth of garbage that they left behind.
Stuff, yeah,
yeah, and they gave us their new address to forward their security deposit.
Well, so once you get all the trash out and then assess any other damages, you can forward them the invoice, right, for the other items. So that's funny.
And that's always the first step for any house that we get back is that if there's trash, just get whoever your junk removal person is. We use Junk King. I think you guys use Junk King too. We get them out so we get a kind of like a clean palette. And like now we can see, okay, what's really wrong with the house.
Yeah.
When there's a lot of trash, it's really difficult to see.
Yeah.
The other thing that we actually come across since you were asking me is abandonment of homes.
Okay.
Meaning a tenant is still willing to pay rent, right? Let's just say they bought a new house.
Okay.
And they're like, we'll still pay rent, but we're not going to live there. And you go there, it's because they don't want to ruin their credit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you always want to actually get the house back.
Yeah.
Because what if there's a water leak or something?
Oh, absolutely.
Or a fire or, something goes wrong or it gets broken into. So we've actually had a lot where tenants get mad. It's like, we're still paying the rent. You can't go in there. It's like, no, like you've turned off the utilities. You've abandoned the house. We charge them for the reletting fee, the rekey fee, and all the different fees. And then we try to rent out again as fast as possible. You never want to leave a house completely abandoned, even if they're paying rent.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to leave it empty. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's say tenant calls you, says, hey, I ran into this when I was managing my own properties where they had bought a house, it's being built. Hey, we're not sure when it's going to be ready, and it's ready, let's say, 2 or 3 months early. Is there, and I'm not an expert on property laws as it relates to tenant laws, is there an option there to say, hey, can you go ahead and get all your kind of stuff out, essentially move out, and continue to pay the lease until I've got it rented from somebody else, and we may be able to get you out of that, let's say, 1 or 2 months early.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's our goal is that, hey, get your stuff out, let us release it. You're still responsible for the reletting fee.
Okay.
But that still probably ends up being cheaper than if you were to pay the rest of the months.
Yeah.
So it's really not a lot, but still better, and you're not ruining your credit. But the idea is to get it re-rented out as quickly as possible. And by law, you cannot collect from 2 people the same month's rent.
Right.
But you are able to charge a reletting fee. So it's not collecting rent. They're just paying the reletting fee.
Right. Whenever I had tenants that would do that, say, hey, look, we can both work on this, or we can stick to the letter of the lease, which says you are going to pay the rent on this until such and such a date. But hey, let's see if we can get another tenant in here. We can release you of the liability. You can go off and no charge to your credit, that sort of thing. So. And it's just if they're willing to play ball, right?
And utilities is really the most important thing. Like, if you get a house that, you still got cast iron pipes on you, they turn off the water. Next thing you know, you come back and turn on utilities on and none of your water works, right? We had that again recently where a tenant moved out. We had no maintenance. We finally went out there because we were checking the property next door, and he's been gone, and the yards was like overgrown. They didn't have HOA, so we never knew about it. But he just kept on paying this rent, and then we were like, oh crap, this guy's been gone for a long time, but he just kept paying it.
Yeah. He's been gone for 8 months now. You're like, hey, buddy. So when you called him, did he call you back, or hey man, where you been? We noticed the house kind of got tall grass. What's going on, bud?
And usually these are people. They're like, oh, we moved out. I'm like, okay, thanks for letting us know.
And you say, yeah, we know that because we went by the house.
Yeah.
And there's a den of snakes in the front yard, and there's deer in the backyard. You've turned this into a woodland paradise now.
Right.
So what is it? Yeah, that's funny. So, well, I mean, it's good they up and leave in the night, but at least they're writing a check, right? Instead of
again, the check. And when you talk to some owners, it's like, well, they're still paying rent. It's like, well, they turned off utilities and they're not cutting the grass either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, rent is great, but they're not paying for the other items to maintain the property, which is the other goal too. That's your asset.
Yeah, that's funny. You hear more stories of a tenant moving out in the middle of the night, and then no rent check comes around the first. And you're like, wait a second, and then you figure out they've kind of gone, moved on, which is one whole other thing. But that's funny. We haven't run into a lot of they've moved out and they just keep paying the rent, and then we get the HOA notice.
We've gotten that. We've gotten sublets.
Oh, wow.
Also, where we're like, okay, we know you moved out, but for some reason, we're still getting rent checks. We're pretty sure you're not living there, so who's there?
Yeah.
And that comes, maybe a problem during eviction time or whatever.
Yeah, because I could see a scenario where they're paying them, then they're not paying you, and you're like, well, this isn't your house, bud.
We actually had when someone sublet it, and then the new person, which we had no idea about, paid a security deposit to the other person. And then when they moved out, they're like, hey, where's our security deposit? We're like, what are you talking about? We never got a security deposit.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we paid the other person. Like, well, that's between you and them.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to call that guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to get right on that. There was and I'm sure it's still happening in Houston, where houses would be listed for sale, like on MLS. And folks would go on to Craigslist and list them for rent, take security deposit and first month rent, and they're trying to move in. And then here's this real estate agent that goes and keys in. It's vacant house, right? Yeah. So CSS lets them in, and they're like, who are you people? Well, we're renting this house. And the agent's like, no, you're not, because I'm the listing agent.
Right.
Like, what is going on here?
No, we actually had a fraud one get posted on Facebook now, too.
Oh, no kidding.
Just last week.
Wow.
Week. That was the first one we seen on Facebook.
Was it one of y'all's properties you were selling, or one that you were leasing?
Leasing.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, yeah, send us our check. So make sure you're dealing with the actual owner's representative for those of you who are renting property. That's hilarious. So let's say I'm a new investor, Jerry, and this is Jerry Todd with Property Care. I'm a new investor. I've gone to some weekend seminar somewhere, and I'm going to be a landlord. I'm going to be a millionaire in 10 minutes. That's what that's the guy on stage promised me. And now I want to be a landlord. What are the, let's say, top 4 or 5 mistakes that you see new landlords make?
Well, let's get your mindset right.
Okay.
Let's not be a landlord.
Okay.
Let's be an investor.
Oh, wait. You mean I don't want to be a professional landlord?
Right. You don't want to manage your own properties. That's being
Absolutely.
a landlord. You want to be investing in properties and spending your time investing in properties.
Mm-hmm.
First mistake is on the rehab. Let's not, let's just do the bare minimum.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Doing the bare minimum attracts the worst, right? If you don't have a clean property, people who's willing to accept trash are, maybe trash.
Yeah,
also at the same time.
I agree with it. I mean, I agree.
If someone's willing to accept the dump, what do you really think this person is like, right? Secondly, is putting in just a bad tenant in general, right? So you got rehab. I mean, every step of the way, there's so many mistakes that you can make.
What's amazing to me is how many new landlords, new investors they'll take a little shortcut here, they'll take a little shortcut here, and what they don't realize, almost like the field of engineering, when you stack all of those little shortcuts up, it turns out it just makes that deal so much more worse, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just like, we're going to shortcut the rehab, we're going to take the first tenant that shows up with a check. I mean, it's all these things, and then they say, oh, well, being a real estate investor doesn't work. And you're like, no, you just did it wrong.
Yeah, you just did it wrong. And then who's the house buyers comes up and buys it.
That's right. And then I come and buy it from you, right? So how do folks get in touch with you?
You can reach us at 713-489-7653 or send us an email at info@propertycarehouston.com.
So it's info@propertycarehouston.com. Jerry Taw has been my guest with Property Care. Thanks so much for coming in today. It's Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate, and we will be back here after a short break.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Mike's off.
Excellent. Thank you for your time, young man. So how many of y'all have now? Still right around. We've had...
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes, binders, and the agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. It's there for you. Call Houston's leading real estate risk management expert, Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas, 281-569-4352. That's 281-569-4352. Or online.
Yeah, $300 a month rent, they're $2 million.
Are you a realtor or seller that is concerned about new TRID rules and closing on time? I'm Jennifer Hernandez, Senior Loan Officer at Legacy Mutual Mortgage, and we have mastered the 30-day close. We close on time, accurately, and with tons of communication. You'll have a dedicated team of a coordinator and a contract to close associate. Give me a call today at 713-579-3611, and let's talk about how we can help you on your next transaction. NMLS 514497.
Selecting a foundation company and their product for repair is a lot like a game of chance. You simply don't know what you're going to get. The foundation repair industry as a whole doesn't carry a license, nor is it regulated. However, Foundation Check utilizes professional engineers to review all of our files to give you the best foundation analysis in today's market. Remember to check before every repair. Call 346-702-3825, or you can reach us online at foundationcheck.com.
Are you looking for an investor-friendly general contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
All right, how much time do I have?
We have, let me look,
whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab.
2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes, all right.
No more doing the work yourself.
I'm going to stand up. I like the stand up here on the desk.
At 832-742-9992.
Real estate investors, if you're not familiar with Quest IRA, let me tell you.
Hey Nikki, Steve said is 1110 off air. Can you hear us on the air?
No, I checked. Yeah, I replied to him.
Okay, we're good. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool.
As we simulcast all of our educational classes every Tuesday morning and evening. For more information,
morning, Daniel.
At 1-855-FUN IRAs or visit our website.
Fun IRAs. I keep meaning to. I gotta put them on my list because I need to talk to Quest. Unless any of my Quest people are on here, I need to know if I can convert a 457, 452, whatever the kids college fund, whatever it is, the 450 something, if I can convert that to a Coverdell. I'm sure I can. And I think it's post-tax?
You found or inherited a great investment property.
I don't see any of my Quest people on here.
How much it's worth, or more importantly, what to do to maximize your investment while mitigating risk. This is exactly why we started Next Gen Appraisals. Next Gen is a group of appraisers specializing in investment real estate. We understand that investors aren't just looking for a number of what their property is worth, but a comprehensive analysis of the market. Give Next Gen a call at 713-346-9911 or check us out online at nextgenappraisals.com.
Are small returns
All right,
getting
30
in the way
seconds.
of your retirement plans?
Okay.
Why settle for mediocre results? There's a better place to invest. The experts agree, single-family real estate is one of the best investments you can make. Find out how JB Fund Services offers a 9% preferred return and up to a 13% waterfall. Call us today at 281-915-0906 or visit our website, jbfundservices.com. That's 281-915-0906. This investment is offered to accredited investors.
This is Business 1110.
All right, Jay, hot mics.
Welcome back. Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. Build your team Thursday. I'm going to be on the radio tomorrow. I was just chatting with Jerry. He was giving me an update, and of course, chatting with Elijah earlier today. And they both have been working with real estate investors that bought houses 2012, 2013, and those houses have more than doubled in value. Here's what I can tell you. Based off what I've read and what's going on in the market update I gave you guys about a month ago, that trend is going to continue. We believe it's going to continue. Of course, there's a caveat here. The whole world could end. North Korea could shoot nukes at Houston. I mean, who knows, right? But we don't see any indications that the price appreciation we're experiencing now is going to stop anytime soon. Now, when you listen to national real estate economists, a lot of times they're talking about East Coast, West Coast. California's a whole nother animal. LA, San Diego, New York's a whole nother animal. Miami, Florida, Seattle's a whole different thing. But for those of us in flyover country, the places where we can invest, we can buy a house, it produces cash, and that property continues to appreciate, and then we decide to either pay that property off or liquidate it in the future. We believe that those houses are going to continue to rise in value, somewhere between 7 and 15% per year. You can build real wealth here, and you can do it with an investment that you understand.
2 minutes.
And that's a single-family house in Houston, Texas. Here's what I'll tell you, and I'm going to talk a lot about this on tomorrow's show, but you really don't have a choice. You can be dependent on an IRA in the capital markets that you pray does not crash 5 years before you retire. Or, like Stephen Covey says, you can become independent, build wealth with real estate, and not have to rely, that's the definition of what independence is, you don't have to rely on these other vehicles to make you financially independent. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the difference between retirement and financial independence. And we're going to interwoven in that is dependent and independent persons. Talk a little about 7 habits of highly effective people tomorrow. I highly recommend that you sign up for one of our free events. Go to rightpathrealestate.com. You can sign up there, rightpathrealestate.com. If you've got questions, we have opened up an email address, and we will address these questions on the radio show. They'll be completely anonymous. The email is ask@rightpathrealestate.com. That's ask@rightpathrealestate.com. Send that over to us. We'll read it on the air. We'll make it anonymous, and then we will share the answer with you guys. So I'll be on the show tomorrow doing some of that. Again, send an email, ask@rightpathrealestate.com. Thanks for being on the show, guys. Thanks for sharing your value with us today, from property care to fast track to next gen appraisals. I will see you guys bright-eyed, bushy-tailed tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. It's Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate.
All right, Mr. Bible, have a good one.
All right, thanks.
You've been listening to Right Path Real Estate Radio. Find Jason and Tom at rightpathrealestate.com.